What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Michael here, and welcome back to a brand new Fallout build on Fudge Muppet, the #1 place for builds on YouTube. Today we're releasing an amazing build known as the Corsa, and it's really fun to play for anyone who's played Fallout 4, or just for anyone who loves their Fallout lore. Now this build will be a blizzard of laser fury sweeping across the lands of the Mojave, and he's also got super high critical hit chance. He's been a pleasure to make, and if you love our builds as much as everyone has been, do remember to subscribe for more Fallout New Vegas builds, for more Fallout 4 builds, and for more Skyrim builds. We've been doing heaps of builds lately, and if you love this kind of stuff, you should definitely check out our most recent work for Skyrim and Fallout 4. The annotations are on screen, and don't worry, if you click them, it'll open a new tab for you, instead of taking you out of this sensational video. Now let's dive into the backstory of the Corsa. The Corsa was not born or raised anywhere. He was created by the Institute, by Machinery and Advanced Technology. He is of course a Generation 3 synth. A synthetic person which appears exactly like any other human, acts as such, and even has the biological makeup to perform the same functions such as eating food. This was no ordinary synth, however. This was a Corsa. He wasn't being made into the image of someone else who he was to replace. He was one of the fiercest synths that were feared by all, especially those who made habits of defying the Institute. Those kinds of people were just asking for their death. The Corsa was ruthless. His one aim in life was to track down and capture his own kind. Other synths who had betrayed their creators and fled, abandoning their true purpose, or at least this was how he'd been trained to think. The Corsa was put through intense physical and mental conditioning in order to achieve his objectives, so much so that his role as a Corsa wasn't even too difficult. He could track down and discover synths without breaking a sweat, and when they didn't come with him, or when things got too out of hand, he was more than happy to retire them. As much as he'd been taught to conduct himself in a calculated and robotic fashion, the Corsa found slithers of satisfaction when his target struggled. It changed the variables in his day-to-day routine, and sometimes that was much more interesting. The Corsa was by no means a sadistic, heartless man. He was simply an instrument which did as it was told. The fact that he longed for change, if anything, made him more human. Eventually, however, the Corsa's winning streak came to an end, and he was shot up really badly by a synth he was sent to capture. His target was actually a Corsa as well, who'd gone rogue. But luckily for the current Corsa, this character build, he was able to escape using a teleportation device before he met his end. The Corsa had to be patched up by a scientist at the Synth Retention Bureau, and after spending quite some time with her, she began to fall in love with him. The Corsa was out of work for a while, and one could say the scientist worked slower at getting the Corsa back to full functionality, just so she could spend some more time with him. She saw more in him than just a machine. She saw a human, and started making excuses to spend time with him in the future quite regularly. She'd always need to repair something new on his body, and over time the Corsa too started to really enjoy her company. That said, the scientist's intentions towards the Corsa were more than just mental. Her husband had died tragically years ago, and she yearned for something more physical. One afternoon, while activity in the lab was low, the scientist knew no one would be around. She decided to take a risk and ordered the Corsa to have sex with her. He did, and he definitely did enjoy it. She kept the ordeal on the down low, of course, and decided that she'd had enough with the Institute after all this time. She was attracted to the Corsa and wanted to live a life with just him, which of course would never be allowed. She slowly chipped away at his robotic nature, instilling more human qualities in the man, until eventually he admitted to her that he wanted to leave as well. She used her technical prowess to make sure they weren't caught, and disabled the man's Corsa chip. He'd now be untraceable. The chip couldn't be removed without the Corsa dying, so it would have to stay in his body, deactivated. The scientist planned their escape, and the two eloped together, heading west and heading all the way to the west coast. They stayed low profile as they traveled through many new places that neither of them had ever seen, and for the next 30 years they lived together. They had an amazing relationship, and the Corsa truly felt human throughout it all. They resided on a small farm in California, and it was after these 30 long years that the scientist passed away due to old age. The Corsa still looked young in appearance as he did not age. They obviously couldn't have kids, so having no one to care for, the Corsa travelled around a bit aimlessly, doing random tasks to get by and to ease the pain of his loss. He worked as a mercenary, as a bodyguard, and then eventually got a job as a courier. He would be great at this job due to his skill set, however he was eventually shot in the head. It makes a lot of sense that he was able to survive a shot in the head that would have killed a mere mortal. The Corsa will awaken in Goodsprings, still aimless in his existence. He will, however, now have the new aim of seeking out his attacker. He wants revenge, and he's damn good at tracking down targets who don't want to be found. The Corsa will seek to create a new life for himself, and over time will start to help people more and more. The scientist he loved deeply taught him to be very human, and he will definitely be a good person when he can be. He will hate control and doesn't want people to be controlled. Because of this, he won't like the Legion, especially due to their use of slavery and how they command people to kill others. He lived this life, and it's not a lifestyle that he looks back at admirably. He also won't like the NCR and other large mammoth groups that desire control and domination. The Corsa will work with Mr. House. He's used to taking orders, will receive a good amount of money for doing so, and agrees with Mr. House's vision for New Vegas. He simply wants to create stability and to create a place that is autonomous and happy. Mr. House just wants to run the place successfully, and the Corsa will see the Lucky 38 as a place to call home. The Corsa won't side with Yes Man as he trusts Mr. House to be a better decision maker than himself when it comes to deciding the future of society. The start game special stats for the Corsa are 4 strength, 6 perception, 5 endurance, 1 charisma, 10 intelligence, 8 agility, and 6 luck. 4 strength is enough to competently use our weaponry, and 5 endurance is plenty to keep us alive. 6 perception is expected from a Corsa and gives us better accuracy as well as access to the better criticals perk. 10 intelligence represents the high intellect of the Corsa, especially considering the fact that he's a synth and was trained and programmed to retain huge amounts of information. This will help us level fast and boost our skills a lot. His physical training is reflected in his high agility, which helps for a good amount of perks and VATS capabilities, and his lack of communication with people outside of his love interest is reflected in his low charisma. His luck, being a decent 6, will provide for a nice amount of critical hits, especially once you see what perks we've chosen. Your endgame special stats will change depending on what implants you get and what decisions you make, so that's really up to you. Taking a look at skills, we've got 3 tag or major skills and 3 minor skills. Our tag skills are energy weapons, science, and repair. Our minor skills are lockpick, medicine, and sneak. We have loads of intelligence, so we will max out all our skills pretty easily. After this, you can start maxing out other skills of your choice. Energy weapons will obviously help us with our main weapon damage, and science will be used for our perk choices and also hacking. It fits in with the skills of a Corsa too. We have repair to keep our gear in top shape and also to complete miscellaneous repair objectives. The Corsa has a wide skill set and is as functional as he is deadly. Lockpick gets us access to places and loot, and Sneak makes sure we don't get caught in the process. Medicine will also keep us alive and can be used to assist others during certain quests. Now you know the skills, and next will be the traits. After that, we're going through the perks, but I must say this. When you pick your perks and how you allocate your skills is up to you. Make sure you know the perk requirements when deciding how you want to build up your Corsa build throughout the game. When it comes to traits, the Corsa will be choosing Skilled and Good-Natured. Skilled represents his versatility and how he's been trained to do many things. It'll give you +5 to all your skills at the cost of gaining 10% less XP. This is countered easily by our high intelligence levels. Good-Natured gives this build -5 to combat skills and +5 to passive skills. Originally, the Corsa was programmed to be hard and cold-hearted, but over decades he was shown how to be more compassionate. During this time, he became a bit softer and developed a softer skill set to balance out his aggressive side. Our essential perks are Educated, Living Anatomy, Finesse, Robotics Expert, Better Criticals, Nerves of Steel, Laser Commander, Meltdown, Light Touch, and Tunnel Runner. Jury Rigging is not essential, but we strongly recommend it anyway. Educated is going to help this build level up faster by giving him 2 more skill points to allocate during each level up. Living Anatomy is more of a role-playing perk, and it allows you to actually see the HP and DT of any characters in VATS, while also giving you 5% more damage against non-feral ghouls and humans. It's cool to scan your enemies and see what they're made of. Perhaps it'll allow you to take out the weaker targets first. This build also dishes out a ton of critical damage, so as expected, we've got the Finesse perk for 5% more critical hit chance. We also have better criticals to make these devastating blows do 50% more damage. Laser Commander helps with this by giving the Corsair 10% more chance to critically hit with any laser weapons, on top of 15% more laser weapon damage. Light Touch also benefits the critical hit playstyle, adding 5% critical hit chance. It also makes enemies suffer against you by giving them minus 25% crit chance while you're wearing light armor. The Robotics Expert perk has been picked for role-playing mainly, and it will make you do 25% more damage to robots and gives you the ability to shut them down if you sneak up on them. We're also going to have our action points regen 20% faster with the Nerves of Steel perk, giving us plenty of VATS mayhem. It makes sense that the Corsair can react and shoot quickly. As we shoot down our foes, they'll be emitting a corona of harmful energy, which can damage enemies around them and also yourself if you're not careful, due to the Meltdown perk. Finally, we have Tunnel Runner. This gives us a 25% increase in moving speed while sneaking in light or no armor. The Corsair will obviously be using light armor, but before the gear section, I want to mention that we'll be increasing our crouched movement speed by another 20% by using the Implant M5 from the Old World Blues DLC. The gear for this build will replicate a Corsair from Fallout 4 as much as possible. Early on, you'll want to use any laser weapons you can find, and you'll want to wear the Merc Veteran outfit. You can also wear Authority glasses with this build if you like. We did. Basically, the aesthetic needs a long coat, so you can wear any kind of Sheriff Duster looking apparel. Eventually, however, you'll want nothing less than Ulysses Duster from the Lonesome Road DLC. This not only makes you look the part, but it also gives you plus 5 critical hit chance and plus 1 charisma. With weaponry, you'll be using the AER-14 prototype during the mid-game stage, which is a unique laser rifle that shoots green. Appropriately, you can find it in Vault 22, a very green place. Then during the endgame, you'll want Elijah's Advanced LAER, which is not only powerful, but also shoots blue, just like an Institute rifle. It really adds to the Institute vibes of the Corsair, even though this build is no longer affiliated with them. You get this gun from the Old World Blues DLC. The Corsair build will not use any companions. He has really low charisma, which in New Vegas means low companion nerve, and he's also used to working by himself. The Corsair is a lone wolf and uses stealth. The Scientist was the only person he was ever close to. And that concludes our latest Fallout New Vegas build, the Corsair. If you love builds, if you want more builds, and if you love role-playing and Bethesda games, then please do click the subscribe button, because if you do, you'll be very pleased. I want to thank you so much for tuning into Fudge Muppet and for watching this video this far. Scott and I both appreciate all the support we've been getting. Let us know what you think and what you want in the comments below, and I look forward to nerding out with you all again very soon.